Greetings, fellow Emberians. I am Ashtrothi, the voice of New Eden, and this is my co-pilot, Zoria Triglav. And it is, I don't even know what day it is. It is April 16th, YC127, and this is the Eve Universe Show. How's it going, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good right now. Lost in a labyrinth with my fleet. Best place to be. With a fleet. Lost in a labyrinth. Oh, God, this camera. Hold on. All right. Hopefully that works. Hi, Zoria. How are you? Are you excited? Are you ready to extirpate the posh lost? That's right. Good girl. Okay, so it is day 2 of Nexus Reckoning. We have learned a lot, and today I want to kind of talk about what we've learned, how the mechanics are kind of shaping up, and also show off a opportunity, because we made a ship that works as good, if not better, than the Sleipnir I was flying with yesterday, and is alpha friendly. What are you missing out on? Okay, so just in case this is your first Eve video that you've watched in a while, basically about 2 years ago or so, the empires began to descend further and further into war and chaos, and in this world emerged kind of this new contender for technology named the Deathless. And the Deathless began uniting the pirate groups together and also took over this ancient Jovian structure named the Fulcrum in a mysterious system that is named Zarzak, which is a Jovian system that orbits a black hole that was previously undiscovered. He found this fulcrum and began using it to develop his own clone army, known as the Vanguard, and deploying those clone soldiers throughout New Eden as mercenaries. During this development, it triggered the Drifters to attempt to attack Zarzak, which Zarzak defended itself by creating an event horizon around the system, which the Drifters failed to breach. That also opened up a new structure. From the Deathless called the Warden, which is used to coordinate and facilitate his operations throughout New Eden using a series of hyperspace connections. And he begins kind of working on his own counteroffensive against the Drifters. So then the Drifters, who are also apparently getting their upper hand against the Triglavians in the Abyss, begin attacking all of known space in what's known as the Drifter Crisis. The empires kind of try to defend themselves against the Drifters for a period of time until the Mimitar figure out that if they blow up the Deathless's facilities, they can gain access to the tools that the Deathless has been using, and using that could potentially attempt a counterattack against the Drifters. So this culminated in a race where 10 different factions in New Eden attempted to gain the most knowledge and control over the Jovian technology and Deathless technology, until now the Amar, the Kaldari, the Mimitar, Edencom, and the Triglavian Collective have successfully won that particular race. And starting yesterday, those 5 factions have attempted to occupy the 5 wormholes that are owned by the Drifters, the Barbican, the Conflux, the Vedette, etc. There's 5 different Drifter wormholes that have existed since 2015. Those 5 have now been occupied by those 5 different groups, 1 per system. So now there are Drifter sites throughout known space. There are combat, mining, hacking, different sites available in known space, as well as the original Crisis sites, which are fleet-based, 3-man and 5-man fleet stuff that you can do. But the big focus is in the 5 Drifter wormholes, where the influence, basically the empires are attempting to gain control and influence within those systems. However, as was kind of teased in my screenshot, all of the empires, all of the wormholes, the influences are dropping precipitously. They started at about 90%, and now, hold on. Where are they? There's a lot of casual players that won't do a thing until someone shows them how to do it. We're okay. I have an idea why there's kind of low participation. There isn't actually low participation. We'll get there. Hey, what's up, No Tension? All right, so honestly, I will spoilers. My thumbnail is a bit of a clickbait. It isn't as bad as it looks, but give me a second. So we can see. Let's get there. So here, thanks to Punchinello, a friend of the channel, and I consider a member of the convocation. In fact, he would like to remind you that if you haven't gotten your 1,000,000 free skill points, to use the link down below to get your 1,000,000 free skill points. It helps those who help the channel. But here we have all of the current influences in the 5, hey, Punch, of the 5 different wormholes. And we can see my voice is falling off sometimes. Okay, I'm going to let me know if it's still having problems. I think my audio is still set too high, maybe. All right, so we can see here that the Amar are the highest currently at 53%, with the Triglavians actually at the lowest at 19%. Now, we actually have some more information about what is going on here. First of all, one of the problems... Hold on, actually. Let me pull these up. Here we have CCP Diegetic posting about what's going on. CCP Diegetic being one of the main lore dudes in CCP now, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember who CCP Diegetic is, but it's someone that I'm pretty sure we know. But it says here, you can get a better idea of how influence works by reading the description in the opportunities window under interstellar events. Here's the Caldari one, for example. The Caldari state needs your help to stop the Drifter attacks in New Eden, maintain control of the system, navigate the Labyrinth complex, and retrieve Nexus ciphers. Use those to enter the Nexus Point dungeons, face off against the Drifter Dreadnought, and show these dishonorable monstrosities the true strength of the Caldari. And he says, the key thing for altering influence is completing the Nexus Point site. This is the only thing that directly impacts influence. The other content are opportunities to help support that effort by and earn some nice... to support that effort and earn some nice rewards for yourself. So that is why what we're seeing is all of the different... all of the influences are dropping. Because as of right now, I don't actually know of anybody who's successfully run the Nexus sites. So in order to run the Nexus site, you do need to first run the Labyrinth site, which is a 10-man plus site. That's the one that Dutch Gunner ran yesterday. So he completed the Labyrinth site, but not the Nexus site yet. There are people that are interested in going after the Nexus site, but just realize that the reason why we've seen nothing but falling is that it doesn't matter how many of the high-sec sites get run. Doesn't matter how many combat sites get run. Doesn't matter how much Tyrannite gets mined. Doesn't even matter how many labyrinths are run. The only thing that matters when it comes to gaining influence is the Nexus Point site. So hopefully what we're going to see is that we can turn the tide of some of these and help regain control over these wormholes. However, it was also pointed out by CCP Rampant, hey all, please be assured that we're reading all feedback. We are keeping a close eye on the state of influence within these systems, and we'll make adjustments as necessary. However, we want to give time for players to work out the Nexus and how to best run it effectively before we make that decision. I'd like to add to CCP Diegetic's message that none of the occupation attempts will cease due to low influence. All factions will have a chance to regain control over the Drifters if lost. This is a long event, and occupation may swing back and forth as it goes. Also, without going into details, players outside of these systems are able to contribute by providing the amplifier and limiter items. These can have a significant impact on the Nexus site operations, though their exact functions are still for you to uncover. So that's true. I mean, it is very possible that the Amar are, in fact, already running the Nexus sites. So that could be why they're keeping up. So just realize that, like, even though we're losing influence, it's not like we're going to lose the Triglavian wormhole by the end of the by the weekend, and we're just going to lose a track of it, right? So for you guys, the best thing to do is just, you know, get involved, participate, get your points. There are fleets coming together. I'm hesitant to share information about Nexus fleets being put together at the moment, just for OPSEC purposes. But you can get involved in the Discord and try to help find people, both our Discord and the ARC Air Talker Research Consortium Discord. You know, there's various groups coming together to do stuff. But it is true that we will need a bunch of these blueprints and other materials required for it. So we have, from these event sites, we have filaments for each of the different wormholes that lead directly to it. And then we also have narrow, wide, and mid-band emission samples. And these are the things that are necessary, or at least very useful, in the Nexus sites, but we don't actually know why yet. However, so there's these different tracks to get points. And one of the things to pay attention to is, like, there is a track to mine, right? To get the Titanite. But then it goes mine, then build, then sell. So I had to mine, and then I built a filament, and now it has manufacture any emission amplifier or limiter. I can complete that, and then it'll want me to sell one, and I can complete that, and then that'll start back over with the mining thing. And I think that after the first time, it just says you have to build 2 pieces, and it doesn't really matter which one it is. And that's important because these filaments take 2 hours by default to build. So with skills, it's like an hour and a half. But the emissions only take 16 minutes to build. So between the two, if you're just doing it for points, it's worth noting that the emission BPCs are significantly faster to build if you're just going to build. And it also skips the mine mission after a while. Oh, that sucks. So you can also, if you're going to sell it, you can always sell it on the market and then buy it yourself, either with your alt or even your own character, I think. However, if you're going to do that, I recommend not doing it in a trade hub, because you're probably going to want to put it up for cheaper than you know, like you don't want to put it up for prohibitively expensive because you want to keep your taxes low, but you also don't want somebody to snipe it out from underneath you while it's really cheap. So, you know, go somewhere off the beaten path, potentially, preferably like in a region that isn't with Jita or Dodixie or one of them places, and then just throw it up, wait a couple seconds, buy it, and call it good. That's one way to do it. The other, a couple other things about earning points that we found out is the tourist sites, right? We have, it goes the Azdaja wormhole. It wanted the captured wormhole, and now I have the floating Stonehenge in the Sanctified Vedette. So these are like the tourist versions, and they're worth 20 points the first time and 10 points any subsequent time. It's worth noting that, oddly enough, the Caldari is not in this rotation. So while there are 5 wormholes, it appears, at least as of right now, that the Caldari one never shows up. It just goes between those 4. And the order is... Hold on. I'll pull it up. The order is, it goes from the Redoubt to the Vedette to the Sentinel to the Barbican, and then it goes back to Redoubt. So, you know, what that means is, interestingly enough, while you can enter these wormholes or buy the unidentified wormholes that show up in systems with Drifter or with Jovian observatories, there is no Caldari wormhole landmark to go to. So when it comes to these filaments, what that means is, it's actually kind of fun. If you look at these, we can go finding contracts. The Vedette wormhole costs 1 to 5 million per. The Liberated Barbican, maybe they're all just going to go down in price, but yep, 1 to 3 million. The Azdaja is going to be the most valuable one, I think, at this point. Yeah, 5 million is the lowest one for these, but the Caldari, yeah, the Sleeper Forge sites are always going to have competition. That's true. The Caldari one is likely going to be very cheap because nobody needs to use it. People are using these filaments to do the tourism, and you don't need to do it for the Caldari one. So chances are the Caldari filament is going to remain pretty cheap. Let's see. Anything else? Those are half the price I paid 3 hours ago. That sounds about right, to be honest. Like, that's kind of how this is going. All right. So, anything else as far as, like, that kind of news? Let me check. They did update the game today. There is patch notes. However, the only thing they say they did was update the visual effects of the older drifter ships, which we can see that in Hobo Leaks. But the other thing that we can see in Hobo Leaks is, thankfully, they added the text for the Tyrannite deposits. So now you can actually find the mining sites when they are in when they're in space, when you're in the same system as them. Yeah, they can fluctuate that fast because if you think about it, like when I just looked it up, I looked it up and there was like 3 blueprints. So every time I run a combat site, I get 1 random filament BPC and 1 random emission BPC. It's not quite as consistent in hacking sites, but from my understanding, not all the hacking sites are the same, and sometimes the hacking site has an extra cool can, and that has stuff in it. I think we're gonna look at the hacking stuff tomorrow, probably. But yeah, so the best way to get the stuff is from the combat sites I found. But yeah, I mean, like, if you think about it, if there's only like 2 or 3 of them up on contracts, it doesn't take very long for those two or three to get bought, and then now the price is different because people are putting stuff up. So yeah, these prices are going to fluctuate and change quite a bit over the course of the next 30 days for sure. All right, so let's talk about the the combat site, because so the hacking site is pretty standard. The mining stuff is pretty straightforward, but the combat site is always the one that everybody needs like a fit or whatever for, right? And if we go to Eve Workbench, oh, I didn't tag mine correctly. I need to tag it correctly. I will link in chat. Not that one. This is the Hurricane Fleet issue. So what I did, do you reckon that Gnosis could run these sites solo? Absolutely. But I think that the HFI, so the HFI is my current favorite idea for the sites. They're theoretically things that could race better than the HFI. I've lost a couple races, but this thing, I would argue that this thing runs these sites better than the Sleipnir did yesterday. But this thing is alpha friendly. So all I did was take the fit from the Sleipnir. This is basically your fit. Excellent. And I just mapped it directly to the HFI. You have 1 less mid slot, so we dropped the web. However, the reason why we went with this is because Navy issue ships, like most Navy stuff, like Navy stuff is good because it has better hit points, better fitting, and better application, right? So if we look at the Hurricane Fleet issue in game, we can see that its bonuses are bonus to tracking and damage, right? So this tracking is going to be the big deal. The 50% bonus to tracking is the entire reason why we're using this ship. God damn it, that didn't work. There we go. This bonus to tracking is the entire reason why we're using this ship. And the reason why is because what we discovered was, in general, the sights doesn't, like, the threat isn't damage. It's very hard to, like, the damage in the game, in the sights are actually pretty anemic. It's also, like, there is newt pressure, but I don't, like, it's not dire newt pressure, per se, like in the Blood Raider sights. The biggest problem that I have is application. You know, we tested the Drek yesterday, and I literally could not hit the rats. That was with 25 tracking, and then the Sleipnir had like 45 tracking and a web, and I was still doing all right. This thing has 86 tracking by default, and then with the tracking computer running, it has 104 tracking. So that's going to be, that makes this significantly better at applying to the sleeper frigates, which makes this far more effective at running the actual sites themselves. It applies just fine. And then there is a rapid light missile launcher just to add a little extra oomph, especially against those small frigates. And I had to decide between having a web and having a tracking computer. And, you know, like, I was very reluctant to get rid of the web. I almost got rid of the afterburner. But what I came back to, excuse me. So, like, webs and target painters are often really good because it doesn't just help you, it helps anybody that you're in a fleet with, right? Like, if I web it down, if I'm in a group of like 3 people and I web it, not only does that help my application, but that helps both of my friends' application too, right? Same with a target painter, right? If I have missiles and I target paint a dude, that's going to help all of my fleet's target paint or missiles, not just mine. But in this case, we're racing with other people. So making it easier for them to apply damage to my target isn't actually great for me. I want to be able to apply as much damage as possible without aiding my opponent in their damage application. Hence why we went with a tracking computer and an afterburner and all of this extra tracking with 2 tracking in the lows and a tracking in the mid slots in order to make this work. So that way we can apply without allowing our ally to apply, or our competitor to apply. Now, the other thing that I've been thinking about is this medium shield booster barely even does anything. Like, I usually run it or whatever, and it's good to not die, obviously. But there is a big part of me that wants to replace this with a shield extender. But this is good for now. If you are an alpha, you could theoretically consider swapping it out with a large shield extender, I think. Hold on, actually, let's just go ahead and test that real quick. At least check to see if you can. Large shield extender. Yeah, oh yeah, easy. You can almost fit. Oh yeah, there's no extra large shield extender. So yeah, you could just throw in a large shield extender in there and kind of be fine. Hold on, actually, let's look at passive shield recharge 21 versus. Actually, now I kind of want to do a large shield booster, but so yeah, this thing's only providing 34 HPS. Honestly, I think a large shield extender is going to be better. But that's just something to consider. Either way, the point here is that this works perfectly fine, and it is alpha friendly. Okay? You can always downgrade the weapons if you haven't trained it yet or whatever, but this is a completely alpha friendly fit. However, if you don't have skills, I do recommend carrying like hard shell. There's some drugs that'll help with application. Well, yeah. And that's the other thing, is that this is designed to be cheap. This battlecruiser is 230 million or so. So let's go ahead and find a site. I'm going to open up my agency and go to combat anomalies and see if there is anything within one jump from here. Whoa! Okay, let's go there. My not having skills issue is that I don't have the skills to use a hurricane. So theoretically speaking, like Drake Navy issue could also be really good. The Navy issue battle cruisers are the ones I'm kind of interested in for this purpose. Brutix Navy issue might have difficulty with range, and the Harbinger Navy issue might have difficulty with capacitor. But you could probably get away with it. I think that a Drake Navy issue would probably be one of the things I would go outside of this. That said, there is another ship that I was looking at playing around with that I saw that actually did beat me in a race today. Avoid missile ships. Well, yeah, it depends on how well you can apply. So hold on. Yeah, Marlon. Exactly. So I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, this is a good indicator of how bad the alligator is, right? Because, like, in theory, if the alligator was balanced correctly, you would consider that like one of the best things you could possibly use in this site, right? The Gurissus battlecruiser in a battlecruiser site should be like one of the best. And as it turns out, it's actually pretty good. The drones are able to kill the rats just fine, and it still has 900 DPS with heavy missile launchers. So it can apply quite a bit of damage to the battleship as well. So I kind of want to try this out. If I had to do a missile boat, this would probably be the missile boat I'd go with. Let's start checking. I think these sites are totally fucking empty. This is crazy, streamer luck. Drones work really well. Yeah, the NPCs will attack the drones, but Gurissus drones have enough hit points. Rapid lights, like annoy the shit out of me though, because you got to wait for them to reload all the time. I've got rapid lights in my missile slots. Yeah, the Gila does work. Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen a couple, like I saw a Drake setup. So Drake Navy just got to be better. Navy cruisers should theoretically work because they have the same advantages as the Navy battle cruisers. All right, let's see how fast we can clear off these rats. They, like normal, they're still going to do their bounce. Hey, Lord Vesnan. Do you know what you need from the combat sites inside the wormholes? The filaments bring you to the wormholes, and then the emission pieces, these narrow, wide, and mid-band emissions, those are what's necessary for the Nexus site. And then the spin resonances and stuff, those are useful for the sites that are in Pochfin and Wormhole space. So we can see, yep, I'm applying just fine to this guy. Oh, so that's a good question, because the drifters in the sites apparently have Doomsdays. So, you know, I want to bring battlecruisers and Tech 2 battlecruisers like it suggests, but like that's a really good way to lose a Tech 2 battlecruiser to a Doomsday. Yesterday, Dutch was talking about the fact that he just came in with his confessors. He's got a setup that's designed for destroying drifters with Doomsdays. So they were using that. And that worked. So, but he also had overloaded the site. He had 30 people instead of 10. So I don't know if we have the exact information yet. But that's what I know so far. The Dread does 400,000 DDs and can't be tracking disrupted? Well, yeah, but hopefully it misses, right? That's the whole point. The other thing I'm interested in is, like, there is still the event, or like the elements. You can still go to and turn in indexes to get elements. And I saw the Hakanta battleship in the Nexus, or not the Nexus site, but in the Hive site, which is one of the landmarks in the systems now. So, man, this guy right here is actually getting pretty good orbit on me. That thing's so fast, but I'm still able to hit it. This would be the one that I like couldn't kill at all. And this has got 2 innervatings, including a cruiser. So this would be a problem if I couldn't hit him. But I can, so whatever. And you can see that I'm actually barely using my shield booster. Yeah, that's probably true. I bet you the emission limiter or something like that will turn down damage. Like, you have to turn down all of the damage right as the drifters are about to Doomsday. I could see that being a thing. This is why I was saying, like, you might want to bring, like, hard shell or some sort of boosters for capacitor or tank or something, just in case. Because as you saw, like, I got down to 60% shields. Here we go. Now we, once more with Peld. My missiles are 21 kilometers, so they don't shoot that far. No, the drifters in the wormholes have Doomsdays. Do I recommend you as a new player to do Abyssal Dead Space? Absolutely. I think that the Abyssal Dead Space is a great place for new players to learn how to fly. This thing's taking down my shields a lot further than I thought it would. Watch. The first time I bring it out on stream, I test it out in a bunch of sites, and then I bring it out on stream and it fucks up. But I can apply these rats pretty good. The thing is that Abyss is going to be the PvE that's going to best teach you how to actually fly your ships, right? Like, it'll teach you all about E-War. It'll teach you about manual. Well, like, hopefully you can practice the manual flying and stuff. I didn't actually. So that's another thing you can bring. If you bring in drones, that'll help you with application and damage. I didn't even bring drones. So, like, you could be so much better than this. There's the battleship. Remember, this is a completely alpha-friendly ship. And while I do have an implant in, it's a CPU implant, and I did not need that to fit the ship. You can see that there's You can see I locked up my game. Jesus. I have plenty of CPU left, so that implant isn't doing anything. A brand new alpha, not a brand new alpha. One of the things I want to see tomorrow, or maybe tomorrow, or sometime soon, what I'll probably do is try to make an alpha, like a brand new alpha with 1 million free skill points, and see whether or not I can get into this hurricane enough to be able to run a site. That's going to be the next one. Although tomorrow I think we're going to focus more on the exploration sites, because I'm interested in those, because there's something really interesting about these sites, and I need people to correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Because like, I think this is the very first time that we have seen an event with sites that are random, right? Another ship with no drones. Look, when I'm being a drone pilot, I'm a drone pilot. When I'm not being a drone pilot, I don't bring drones. I don't know what to tell you. The Loki probably would, yeah. The thing is that like the number one thing about these sites is application. Hey, nice. I got the probe tyrant breaker skin. Okay, that's cool. And 8 million in sleeper pro. This is a good drop. This is a really good drop. You got 2 guardian tyrant breakers? Awesome. I'm going to apply this right now. Men's Capsuleer 15? Oh yeah, this one was good. 7 years ago, I think. No, wait. Yeah. First of all, don't fly a Tristan if you only have level 4 drones. Also, no, these are definitely not a frigate site. Is there a Capsuleer pod skin like the last 2 years? I didn't see in login rewards or track. No. Oh, somebody's already running this one? It's a Gila? We'll just go to the next one. Tyrant Breaker pod skin would basically look the same. That's true. Yeah. Because look, there's 19, there's 18, there's 20, there's 21, there's 15, but no, there's 17 or 20, 2017. Yeah, there's no pod this year. I also really fucking dig this skin. Yeah, unplayable. Clearly, there's not enough to this event without a skin. Oh my god, somebody didn't warp off. Hey, Malik. Oh, hold on. That way you can hear what's going on. I should probably kill the innervatings, huh? Oh, I am killing an innervating. That works. So yeah, in general, we're going to need to be able to run those Nexus sites, but people will need to run these sites on the outside in order to get the resources for those Nexus sites. But people that are putting together stuff, like, you know, if you're interested, you should probably find one of the groups that are running the Nexus sites and contribute, because those are 15+ man sites. It's strange how the trig hole is failing the hardest when it would be the easiest to run, I think. Yeah, it's weird that the decay isn't even, right? Because you would assume that no one is currently running the Nexus sites. But the decay isn't necessarily even, so I'm not 100% sure. I've had some people make claims that they understand what's happening, but I'm not willing to put out that information yet. Some people are killing the dreads? Oh, okay. The regular hurricane could be fine. You just, like, the biggest thing is that tracking. So, I mean, it might be fine, but you're going to have a little bit more difficulty applying. We got one shot from the battleship's shield Doomsday weapon. Do we ECM it or not DPS it? So, the... what's his name? Dutch has made a guide on how to dodge the Doomsdays. Really, you kind of have to just take the Doomsday to the face, or make sure that it fails to track you. So what ends up happening is, that's why, like, when Dutch runs his fleets, he has the Guardians orbit the Drifter battleship at certain ranges. So, like, somewhere between 2 to 5 kilometers, but he assigns a different range to each one, so that way all of their orbits don't get interrupted. They can't get bounced by anybody, because that's critical. And then you check to make sure your angular velocities are all high enough, and when all of the Guardians have a good enough orbit, then it's time to shoot and get the Drifter to miss. But he's got a special fit for it. Implants that help with signature radiuses will help. You can tracking disrupt. However, you can't tracking disrupt the dreadnought. And you do have to so, like, when they begin to fire the Doomsday, it breaks all locks. So you've got to quickly relock the Drifter and get your tracking disruption back on them. Does the Doomsday have a target priority? Yeah, it fires at Dutch Gunner. That's kind of a joke, but, like, it follows fairly standard aggro rules, and so it seems to go after logistics most. But it doesn't necessarily have to follow the person that they were previously targeted before the Doomsday. But there is, like, Dutch Gunner has literally written a book on dodging Drifter Doomsdays. Here we go. Linked it in comms. It's got all the information that you need. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to do it when Dutch isn't there. I just assume that sometimes people die. No, there are some fits, like there's a rattlesnake fit that's several billion ISK that can tank a Doomsday straight to the face. I'm also interested to find that cruiser Hakanta Tyrannos and blow her up and see whether or not we can get the indices. I did figure out a fit for eagles that could tank the dread. That's true. Also, each wormhole has a different wormhole effect on it, so they're not all created equal. And what's interesting is isn't the Azdaja one is the Azdaja one is Wolf Rayet, which makes the small weapon systems way better. So probably for Azdaja, it'd be even better to just dodge the Doomsdays with like some frigates or destroyers like Kikis. You may want to consider orbiting the battleship if you're not, if you are an alpha, just based on the amount of damage I'm taking. 145 DPS in. Not nearly as exciting of a drop. Oh. We finished all the sites. Oh yeah, here we go. So we have a mid-band emission limiter, narrow-band emission amplifier, and wideband emission limiter. There's the three of them. If you use your ADC when the Doomsday is about to go off, you can tank 400k to the shield. Ah, yeah, that could work. So if you want to see Dutch even put together some really fun charts. So this lets you see basically your ship's signature radius versus your angular velocity. This shows you the percent chance for the Drifter Doomsday to hit. Yeah, that's true. Getting it to target the Eagle is not necessarily an easy thing to do. Hey, Malik, we need to get DK into the Alliance, by the way, today. Yeah. And I know that Dutch is actually, as we speak, I'm pretty sure running a Drifter site, or a Drifter fleet. Let's see. Is there anything else? What else did I... There's other things I wanted to cover today. So fast logi with low sig. So fast logi with low sig and lots of angular velocity is the answer. Yes, correct. Basically, yeah. Because logi will almost always pull aggro. If you ask Dutch really nicely, he might be willing to share with you his Guardian fits. But I can't speak for him. Why did my chat stop working? All right, hold on. I will go full drones. Any tips for me? If you're going to go full drones, keep a close eye on your drones because they will attack your drones. So I would recommend Caldari Navy drones, not even Tech 2, just so that they have the maximum amount of shield hit points and therefore shield regen, and also give you plenty of time to pull them in. Hey man, no problem. That's what I'm here for. If you do enjoy these streams, make sure to like them and share them with your friends. That's how we get this information out there and help grow the channel. And if you want to make sure that these streams are possible, consider becoming a member or a patron or giving a super thanks or super chat or picking up some merch, like a mug. All of that's very, very helpful to making this possible. So one of the things I like doing is in my agency window, here, I go to exploration and then combat anomalies. And then I have added a bookmark by clicking this here. Hey, Dr. Peter Quill. You add a bookmark and that puts it down here so you can always pull it up. Yeah, the Drake Navy should be totally fine. But DK apparently applied to the Alliance a couple days ago, but I think it fell through the cracks, so we're going to have to grab that. We are recruiting, by the way, guys, if people are interested. Drake Navy with hams might be a challenge. Actually, a lot of our dudes are EU time zone, just because of the fact that I stream a lot in the EU time zone now. But we've got a pretty good group. We've got some people in the US time zone, some people in EU time zone. So, yeah, like Malik and I, and several other people do play a lot in US time zone, and a lot of our fleets are in US time zone. But like Thrans, who helps run the whole organization, like on his shoulders, because he's a monster, he's EU. So we've got pretty good coverage at this point. And, you know, Malik and I in particular have no lives, so you'll find us in the Discord all the time. And you can join the Discord and hang out with us without necessarily joining the convocation in game if you want. Just, you know, don't be rude. So I'm using the agency to see systems adjacent to me to see if there is any in there. But in general, I'm just kind of heading to a system that's several jumps away. I like to go out into like Mimitar or Mars space where it's like big and empty for the most part. And then I pick 2 long areas away. Hey man, that's cool. Yeah, we do like moon mining every week. We have other fleets that we do. And as we've been collecting more people again, we've kind of let ourselves decline as there wasn't much for us to rally around. You know, mercenary dens didn't become a thing for us to do, for example. But this is a bigger thing, so we've been gaining our numbers again, and getting people up and ready and up to speed and ready to go. Nothing. So one of the things that gets me about this event is that the labyrinth is randomized, and the hacking site. Hey, Dejat Lamont 07 to you, sir. It is good to see you, Dejat Lamont. Dejat Lamont is one of my immortal patrons too. He's been supporting the channel for quite some time. I like to joke that he originally supported just so he could force me to learn how to pronounce his name, which I have. But I appreciate your support. All right. We nothing here. I have been editing that turret video some more. It is a beefy one, and I definitely want to make it nice and polished. Yep. Hey, you thought I'd forget. It's actually pretty crazy how much resources people are throwing at these sites, especially if they're just like sacking ships in order to run the to Doomsdays in order to kill the drifters. Reminds me of like when the game when the drifters first showed up. All right, we've got nothing. Okay. Man, we found that one system with like 30 or well 4 sites in it. Hasn't been the same since. Drake Navy issue. I think a Drake Navy issue would definitely be really good for the sites. I think the Alligator would probably be a little bit better, but the Drake Navy issue would be good. I would personally try heavy missiles instead of hams for range purposes. But if you can get a Drake to make... if you can get the Drake Navy issue to hit out to, say, 25 with hams, you're probably golden. I don't know, though. Like, I'd still at least have a target painter just so you can apply. Could be rough. Reckoning Sleeper Forge. Max flight range is 24. You know, like I said, it might work. Might work. Precision missiles. Just in case for the frigates. Target painter. Call it good. In a Drake, no problem. Yeah, but did that Drake have hams? Excellent, DK. Great. Yeah, Caldari Navy missiles should be fine. I'm just saying, like, precision missiles just in case. Okay. So a Drake with hams did it fine. So then a Drake Navy issue with hams is going to do it even better. Almost certainly. So great. Use the front page fit on the workbench. Excellent. Well, that Tau War is definitely not running the site, so I think I've got this one to myself. I've got a lot... so far, I haven't seen a lot of competition today. Less than yesterday. Knocked it down to Arbalists? Yeah, that should work. For sure. I mean, well, yeah. Especially if you're not needing to use precision. If you're just using Caldari Navy, you might as well go with Tech 1. Or Tech 2, Tech 1 modules. Yeah. Okay. Well then, should be fine. They're saying hams. All right, let's see. There's 2 innervatings. Let's go after the innervating battlecruiser first. Or sorry, innervating destroyer first. Remember, when rats are concerned, destroyers are pretty much always your highest priority because they're the most impact for the least amount of hit points. Oh yeah, no, I'm still using rapid lights on my Hurricane. I am tempted to take the tracking computer script out, so that way I get a little bit of range bonus to it too, but so far it's fine. I did that wrong. I sped up as it came around the circle, so that way we were going cross to each other. I should speed up right now when we're opposite of each other, so that way it slows down his relative speed to me, which allows me to track him. And now we've got a Tengu to race against. I have won against every Tengu I've raced against so far. I think that Navy BCs are the correct answer. They just feel like the correct answer to me. I kind of want to try a Harbinger Navy issue. I'm a little bit concerned about Cap. Oh no, it's got that bug where it sounds like I'm warping all the time. God, I hate that bug. Harbury will have cap batteries, though? Yeah, that's true. I'm just saying, like, Harbury is vulnerable to cap issues, so that's my main concern. But could be fine. If you can... Yeah, the heal is great. You can't hear the game. It's broadcasting. Yeah, Harboring Navy is a good ship, and their new pressure isn't extreme. So I would think it would be fine. It's just, of the two, I think I'd prefer the Hurricane. But the Harbury is going to be able to project a little bit better, too. I think that the Harbury is going to be better for the final... For the final race against the boss rat. Like, the Harbinger would probably beat the HFI. All things being equal. But... see how this Tengu does. I've noticed that the boss spawns pretty close to where you are starting, but a little bit low. Like, it seems like it spawns downward some. So we're going to try down here. See whether or not I'm accurate. Yeah, I want to try an alligator too. But it's like... The alligator seems like it would be just as good, if not a little bit better than the Hurricane Fleet issue, and cost literally 5 times as much. So, on the one hand, I wouldn't mind trying it, but on the other hand, like the fit that somebody linked to me earlier that they were using is literally 1.1 billion. See, it was a little low, but it was actually further than I expected. So let's go ahead and try to get close to this guy before those missiles show up! I don't know if I'm going to win this one. I don't think I'm going to win this one. I did not win this one. That's a lot of damage coming out of that Tengu. I don't recommend ever using attack battlecruisers for PvE. The attack battlecruisers are fast for their weapon system, but they have thin tanks, and they're large. I mean, they've got large weapons, which are going to be even harder to track in this site. Yeah, if I went with an oversized afterburner, that actually could have helped out in that fight. Because it would have gotten me onto the battleship a lot faster. If I had been closer to the battleship, it probably would have been a lot closer of a fight. A polarized ham Drake Navy issue. That is a choice. I'm not a bad one. You're losing the race? There's that Tengu again. Fuck. I can't even race him. Say hi to the stream, I say to him. Yeah, we'll see whether or not he links us his fit. But, yeah. I've seen some Tengus that were easily raceable, but yeah, Tengus can be fucking strong when it comes to damage. He is not accepting my conversation. Okay. I'll let you know if there's anything that develops there. Well, yeah, but the the thing is that, like, doesn't matter if they got bad application against the... Well, as long as you can kill the rats well enough, then the race against the battleship is what can matter, especially in, like, say, that what we just saw right there. Can't for the life of you find sites? Go off in the middle of nowhere and use the agency. I farmed C4s and Lokis. Basically, you can have 700 million Loki do ratting faster than a 1.5 billionist Tengu. Yeah, I mean, well, I should probably try out a Loki. I wouldn't mind trying a Loki. Wait, no, stop. That's not where I want to go. Can a Gnosis run C3 plus wormholes? C3 should probably, almost certainly. Gnosis C3. I mean, I found one on Workbench from 4 years ago. And then I found, this is for C2. Any T1 battlecruiser will already struggle with C3 combat sites, and the harder relic sites can push more than 1400 DPS. So they're recommending it for a C2. But also this fit is from 8 years ago, so before alphas could use T2 weapons. Here is a C3, I'm assuming. Oh no, they're saying C3X because it's the module. That's not it. 210 DPS, 228k EHP seems very low. For what? The combat sites? The avalanche doesn't fit in the forge? That's funny. How far into Capsuleer days until we think they drop Omega deals? Ooh. Well, I would say probably this weekend. Because, well, FanFest is a month after this is over, right? May, June. Wait, hold on. When is FanFest? Hold on. When is FanFest? Am I off by a month? Am I being super crazy? Hold on. Is it 2 weeks away? Oh, it's 1 month. Oh, it's May. Got it. So yeah. Actually, so FanFest is going to happen before the crisis hits its zenith or whatever, right? Like, FanFest ends right before the Drifter counterattack happens. Okay. So I imagine there will be some deals around this time, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't start having some sort of deals, like Plex Packs or whatever, starting this weekend, just because it'll be right when the 5 days of free Omega expire for people. So they'll probably want to like hook people that have gotten that. But this is very assumed. I mean, it's alleged by CCP, so we'll see. Saturday is the big announcement at FanFest. Is that true? Maybe. Oh, yeah, you're right. The expansion keynote isn't until Saturday, so they're going to have a whole day of no expansion stuff, which they did last time, too. And I remember somehow they managed to pull that off. And I was super, like, suspicious about it because, like, how do you have the... how do you have a whole day at the convention center without exposing your big secret thing? Because normally at, like, expansion centers, they have, like, the new thing on all of the banners or whatever. Somehow they did it last time, though. I can't remember exactly what happened. says Capsuleer Day will reach its zenith on the 6th of May. As the occupying factions dig in, Drifter retaliation cannot be ruled out. Capsuleers are advised to reinforce, coordinate, and prepare. The seasonal award track is active with Capsuleer Day Tyrant Breaker skins available through both it and the daily reward. So they definitely hint that the cool thing that's going to happen on the 6th is a Drifter counterattack. But we'll see. That said, I was talking about this yesterday in comms that, you know, with all things considered, if CCP were to do a for real attack on Jita, this is how they would have to do it, right? Because, like, they're not telling us explicitly that they're going to do that, but they're telling us that something's going to happen almost a month ahead of time. And in the previous, like, we got the reports, it showed clearly the Drifters attacking Jita, amongst other places. So, like, they've kind of teased and played around this idea of, like, having Jita become a target of something at some point since, well, the shadow falling over Jita during Invasions Chapter 3. So it's something that they've always played around with, but it would take so much balls for them to actually do that I wonder whether or not a lot of this kind of low-key hype for this thing that's coming is warning us that it's going to be something as impactful as possibly taking down Jita for a day. But that's just some tinfoil. I'm sure it'll be fine, guys. I'm sure it'll be fine. Jack Fu, thank you for that. You just want to set the world on fire? I just want to set the world on fire. That's not how that song goes. It's the opposite of how that song goes. But yeah, I think that one thing to note, though, is that, like, it is incredibly important for people to get involved in this event. Because it really does seem like there's a possibility of people failing to take over the Drifters. Maybe not just by losing enough influence, but long-term, perhaps. The Nexus pointing at the Vortex is looking more and more like a super weapon. Wait, what? Wait, have you been inside? What does it look like now? Does it look like the thumbnail? Can you send me a picture? Okay. Man, I don't mention this enough, but the wizard Brandon here, this dude fucking works so hard to keep track of this shit. I really appreciate it, man. Oh, you're not the wizard. Wait, what? How long have I thought you're the same person? That's awesome. Oh my god, wait. Oh, no. You are the same. No, you're the same guy. I just got the name wrong because I'm dumb. No, I'm just bad and got your name wrong. I think. Now I'm so confused. I'm going to spend the next couple of days figuring this one out. You're like, guys, I don't know who the Deathless is, but I finally figured out who the Wizard Brandon is. Oh. Whoa! Wait, is this... Whoa! Hold on. That's real? There is a Wizard Brandon? Yeah, okay. Well, apparently we've had 2 wizards, and I've just been... No wonder I thought you did so much. I just attributed both people's tasks to you. Amazing. Any rate, let's look at this. That thing is fucking wild. Look at that. Look at that. That's not the serpentine. That is it starting to enter into alignment. We will talk about this after this site, because I have things to say about that. Oh, I'm gonna have to look up some stuff. How does the wizard do 2 people? He's a wizard! Alec, just calm down. No, it's fine. I don't know what's going on. That's basically the moral of the story. I don't know what's going on. Oh, man. No, I know. Sorry. I was just teasing. My dyslexic brain never actually decided to check to see whether or not the 2 wizard bees were different. Oh, this is getting bad. I'm about to get capped out. I think I'm going to kill this one, though. Yep, there. I'm capped out. 3 enervatings, that's why. I mean, I can always leave if I need to. It's not necessary, though. I might want to... Shit. I want to get more capacitor before the battleship arrives. But that's not going to be an option. Oh, this is going to be a close one. Let me get a little bit of capacitor, at least 1 bar. Let's see if I can hold it. Whoa, this is actually not great. Not a great situation. 25% shields. I could theoretically just leave and then come back. Which I might have to do. Oh, 1%! Oh, God! Come on, fucker. I'm going to just let it go into armor. I've got more hit points than you, fucker. I've got more hull than you. That's right. You're going down. Oof. Yeah, it's a different kind of race. And dead. All right, good. See? Easy peasy. That's true. I didn't actually need the tracking computer for some of that. It would be a good time to gank me. So that was kind of worst case scenario. 3 innervatings right before the final battleship. Still did pretty fine. But I, of course, have maximum skills for this. I just realized I don't think I claimed the rewards correctly. I didn't. Wait, no, I did. Okay. I think I did. Either that or I just skipped the entire site. Hey, there's an overclocker. They're like, here, you might need this next time. All right, let's go ahead and head to the school to repair. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about... I gotta... Hold on, let me see if I can do some quick Googling. EVE Online Drifter Hive? Hold on. Let me look real quick. Nope. A lot of this stuff is just gone now. All right. It's crazy how few pictures of the Serpentine there is. Oh, I found a post of mine from 10 years ago. So... Yeah, that happens a lot, actually. Basically, when the Drifter Hives first started, this is what the Nexus looked like, right? In the inside, you could find this giant ball of spikes with them pointing out in different directions. However, you know, here's another picture of it. And there are actually pictures of him like flying within the pickup sticks, or not the pickup sticks, but when it was still the Urchin. right? Yeah, that makes sense. C3 for in a C3 you'll want a Praxis, and Gnosis can do C2. So that sounds about right. So like this is what it looked like originally, and it was like this for only about a week, and then they changed it so it looked like this giant serpentine S. That was this long string of pickup sticks like this, right? And that has been what it has been since 2015. However, when they first introduced it to the game, God, I gotta go try to see if I can find this. Hold on. Drifter, Hive, Interstellar, Privateer? Man. Okay, so there's this guy named Ravas that did a ton of lore speculation and stuff back in the day. So I think a lot of this came from this. This is about inheritance. I don't. God damn it. Okay, well, the point is when the Drifter pickup sticks were first put into the game, uh, there were actually multiple stages of the that was put into the game. Hold on. Drifter, Hive, Gate, stages? Maybe? Okay, so the pickup sticks, or sorry, the spherical version of it, the urchin version, was stage 1. And there were multiple stages where it basically increasingly folded up until it was basically a tube, right? And we never actually saw those extra ones because they were like basically they added the thumbnails of the structures into the game, but they never progressed, right? I found that landmark article, by the way. But so there was like 4 different stages, if I remember correctly, where it was increasingly more like a tube instead of an urchin, right? Like they aligned forward. So the reason why that's important is because while the pickup sticks were kind of what it ended up being. Where's that picture you just sent? There it is. This image here, this would be stage 2. And you can actually see in the background there the hive, which normally, if I remember correctly, in the pickup sticks room, you can't see the hive. So this looks like it's stage 2. It looks like they're building... We always suspected that they were building a gate pointing at the Nexus. This is why, like, so originally, when all this started, I thought that the Tecton drops Warden map thing. It's interesting. Yes, I understand that the Hive site is now an ungated dead space grid. But my point is that this alignment is different than we have ever seen before. And this is really important because when the urchin appeared, and then like a week later they turned it into the pickup sticks, no one knew why, right? We didn't know if they never like confirmed that the urchin was a real thing or not, or if it was always supposed to be the pickup sticks and they fucked it up at first, right? It's always been kind of this quiet thing where they've never really told us anything about it. But this now progressing to a more advanced stage seems pretty noteworthy. Yeah, it always. I remember when we first saw it, everybody thought that they were a gate. Yeah. Oh, oh. Oh, they said it's a resemblance to this Stargate. Where is this Stargate from? Because that looks like it. That looks like the Stargate, or that looks like what it looks like once it's all lined up. Where does this picture come from? This Stargate. Why does it wait, hold on. Okay, that's not a real website anymore. That's part of the problem with some hunting down this stuff is that often I have to go to like Wayback Machines and stuff. Very little of this is in null sec. Only the Deathless site and one of the other sites, I think, is in nullsec, they said. It's actually interesting how little of it is in nullsec. Boo. Sorry, these snapshots aren't working. That's what I'm. Yeah, the Wayback Machine is. That's what I'm looking at. Oh no! Yeah, it's not going to show it because it was live. It's listed as a Jovian battleship, or Jovian Jove BG4. Probably not even in the game anymore. So that picture of it is probably the best picture we have of it. It is apparently, according to Onslaughter from back then, 9 years ago, it says this is listed as a Jovian Stargate and is buried deep inside of a Drifter hive. And then, more. Oh, yep. Then there's the Caldari Prime. Okay, so I think that picture from Caldari Prime Pony Club is actually the original, like the gate from that. Nullsock will stop paying CCP taxes if drifters show up with the. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so these are the original pictures from the site, but you can see that the current core orientation is far closer to this than the serpentine pickup sticks. Yes, Ash is in a Hurricane Fleet issue. It's very good for this. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the other images. Those were so buried, but this is definitely going to be something worth paying attention to. Because, like, so at the time, so when during Rubicon, when the Drifters were first showing up and stuff, especially after Inheritance. So the Inheritance Chronicle is the most important chronicle when it comes to understanding the Drifters. And in the Inheritance Chronicle, they travel to Jove space. Yeah. So they travel in the cruiser, the Yule, to the Jove space. And when they get there, it says the Jove cruiser Yule emerged from the wormhole that had brought it to Geminite region into the T-TAC-C 5AO system within a short warping distance of the Jove Navy Logistical Support Station, or as Venal referred to it, home base. The Yule warped to the station, docked, and went through all the usual procedures. Matashi, Reich, and Venal disembarked and made their way through the quietly humming, mechanically noisy hangar that had yet managed to convey the quietude of the atmosphere that comes from the absence of living beings. As Reich followed Venal through the various corridors and passageways, he noticed signs of almost organic decay in places. Once he stopped to examine a particularly large patch of the corridor and looked as if an acid had eaten through the substance of the paneling. Venal looked back and nodded shortly. Nanorot. Repair systems are losing cohesion and going rogue locally. It's far more advanced on the truly abandoned stations. Let's continue. Reich followed until they had reached a relatively pristine area that opened out into a very pleasantly, if minimally appointed combination lounge and meeting room that overlooked the hangar bays. Walking over to the window, Reich saw Yule moored below. He turned back to the room and joined Venal, sitting on a simply cushioned seat around a low table. So during this conversation, like, they go to Jovian space and they talk about how Jovian space is kind of falling apart thanks to nanorot and stuff. Now, remember, one of the things that came out of this whole thing with Rubicon was that all of the Jovian stargates went offline. So this combined with Inheritance and the Prophecy trailer kind of always hinted to me that accessing Jove space is like the crown jewel of what this entire Drifter thing has been about, right? Like, one of the last things that we saw was that, Sancha went to Jove space, but then they got kicked out. That's like the last message that we ever got from the Jove. And we know that the Jove civilization has basically abandoned Jove space, which leaves it as this ripe for potential area that is all shut down and rotting, might be inhospitable when it, like, we might not be able to put permanent structures there depending on how the nanorot works. But step 4 of the plan. What is the plan? But like, so I've always suspected that this is somehow related to going to Jove space. And ever since I've seen that Drifter gate being built, I've always thought that that was what they were trying to do. It's everybody trying to access Jove space. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Obviously, they've done a lot more since then. Does have a wormhole from Jove space? Oh, in the charts that they gave. Whoa. Sorry, I just looked over and saw the picture that you sent, Wizard. So you're saying that from here, yeah, because that's Jove space, right? Yeah, right up here. This green dot is Jove space. Or no, the yellow dot? Yes. You assume these yellow dot. Yeah, the orange spot. The yellow spot is... I got there. I got there eventually. And then this is the battleship... Sorry, the Dreadnought with the... I'm assuming this is the Nexus configuration below it. That's fucking crazy. Where did you send that, TL? Oh, found it. So here they go in. This is a lot. I mean, it's a lot of UI, that's for sure. But doesn't look too crazy compared to some that I've seen. Okay, so they're doing Eden Calm. They have a lot of zealots. Zealots, Damnation, Oneros, Eos. They have a Stratios in there. That's probably for like the hacking, because I think there's hacking components to some of these sites. And of course, there's the Nexus chips, or the different limiters and the emissions that are probably a component to this fight. I imagine Breacher Pods are probably pretty strong against the Drifter Dread. Yep, there it is. So yeah, you see the Nexus, or you see the pickup sticks down below, and the hive there, and it's Eradication Authority. So that's those are so a wormhole opens, you have a turret, and then a bunch of rats start showing up. Innervating Copus, Striking Doru, so these are the same rats as before. That thing though, that battleship is new, and it has the overshield. Their warriors are getting blapped. All their drones are getting vaporized. We don't have a anybody else within the fleet, but we don't see anybody broadcasting for reps either. They've got all their drones on. They had the drones on the dreadnought. Now they're going after the sleepers. I don't see. Yeah, it's the only dread. That thing's huge. That thing's so cool looking. All right, they're going to Doomsday soon. They do have a there's a point. There's a scram. It is worth noting that somebody was Dutch Gunner was talking about how the labyrinth sites actually, like, you're not allowed to use micro warp drives at all. They just shut off. So the dread, I think, just got overshielded. And they're shooting that guy. I didn't see a Doomsday. They just delock it? Those are Drifter frigates, the new Drifter frigates. They've got smart bombs. Oh, another wormhole opens. That's probably great. With more battleships. Damn, they just open and close them, huh? Okay, so wait. So the Dread has its overshield back and armor damage. So that's crazy. They're taking down the frigates. Skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. So we got the dread at 2/3 shields again. Oh, okay, something happened. One-third shields. Current wave. Oh, they have time remaining. Oh, shit. Hold on. Yeah, time remaining 9 seconds. If we go back, we can see... Nope, they had it covered the entire time. Nope, there it is. So, as of right now, they have 24 seconds left in the site, and that much of the bar remaining. So this is not... You do not have a long time to go against... Maybe that's the current time in the current wave. Let's go ahead and find out. No, because... Hold on. 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it says... Strategos is bugging out. Nexus is in collapse. She got what she needed, I guess. Damn it. So yeah, they weren't fast enough to kill the Dread. What happened? So the Dread has its overshield, gets damaged, gets all the way down to no shield, but then loses lock. And when they lock it up again, he has another overshield. That's crazy. Well, hopefully we'll have more information soon about how to do all this. I will report back tomorrow with any new information. Please bring me any information you guys have. But I think that is actually going to wrap things up for today. I've got other things I got to get done today, unfortunately. But no, the Dreamer doesn't regen the overshield in between hacks. Especially not like that. I don't even think it regains any hit points in between hacks. Certainly not an entire second overshield. Like normally you would lock it again and it would be a white shield. Like it would be full because that's the overshield, but it would be white. But either way, it doesn't matter because they failed. They ran out of time. And what's weird about this is that its current time remaining is 20 seconds, but its current wave is only 2 out of 10. So something weird is going on. There has to be something going on. I'm assuming maybe the use of those limiters or whatever. The point of the matter is that, yeah, and it says threat level minimal. There's something else going on in this world that we can't really grok from this from this video. So, all right, well, I think that's about enough of an update for today. Unless I missed something. I've been Ashrothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put even context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you guys so much for checking out the stream. Like I've said before, we've got lots of other videos for you to check out, including the lore of what's going on, what brought us to this point, all that kind of stuff, and more, including fitting guides, exploration guides, all sorts of stuff on the YouTube channel. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and come hang out with us on the Discord. Thank you guys so much. And of course, all of you who support the channel and make this possible with your support. I'm going to give a special thanks to Dejat Lamont. It's good to see you again. But thank you all. 07 to you. And I've been Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden. And until next time, I'll see you in space.
Bring on the wrecking machine. every city